This conference will now be recorded.
Is presenting some of the material that we went through in the original Spin Chat program here. Things from whether it be information management, staying active at home, to tips and tricks to manage those anxieties and worries when they creep up over the next 11 weeks. So this is the first of 11 webinars. Today we're here on a Tuesday evening, at least here in North America. In Canada, we're here on a Tuesday evening. For those of you in Australia, I think it might be Wednesday morning, but in any case, this is the only one on Tuesday evening in Canada. The next ones will be on Wednesday evenings going forward. Our format is that we'll have a 30 to 45-minute presentation, followed by time for questions and answers. So as we're going through this, please ensure that your microphone and webcam are turned off. Angelica Bourgeot from our team, or another member of our team may be turning cameras and microphones off along the way. Don't be worried if that happens. They're doing that just to make sure, as Laura mentioned earlier, that the bandwidth is good and everyone can hear what's going on in the program. For your viewing at the top of your GoToMeeting screen, right in the middle, there's a chance where you can see how you want to set up to see. You can view everyone. Active cameras, hide everyone. It's probably best you just view who's talking, and it gives you a little bit better view of the person who's presenting, rather than seeing a whole spate of blank faces and so forth. Please feel free to use the chat pane during the presentation or whenever it comes up to raise points, questions, anything you'd like to get into the conversation. Just type your questions or comments and hit send. Someone from our research team will be monitoring those, and we'll make sure that we get those to Laura at the end. It's my real pleasure to thank Angelica, who I mentioned earlier, our Spin Chat coordinator, for organizing all of this, for making sure the technology is working. If you have any difficulties, you can use the chat pane. Of course, if the whole thing goes awry and you try to email her at spingeneral@gmail.com. I know she'll be monitoring that if you have any difficulty. It's my really great pleasure to introduce Richard Henry to you. Richard's hiding at the moment, but Richard is going to come on later. He'll be collecting your questions during the program, and he'll address those to Laura afterwards, so that she can address all your questions and comments. There's some resources and slides and other materials that Laura will refer to during our presentation. If you go to the webinars Facebook event page, or the Spin Chat webinars page, all the material that people are talking about here and that are using, you can find them there, and you can use them at home or refer to them as you like. So without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Laura Dyas, who's going to be talking about healthy information management and staying connected. Laura is a trained social worker with over 30 years of experience working in the not-for-profit field. She's served as the executive director of the Michigan chapter of the Scleroderma Foundation in the United States since 2008. And she has been the training director of our Spin Sled program. The Spin Sled program is a program that provides education, camaraderie, leadership skills to scleroderma support group leaders. So we make those available to as many people as possible and help them run as well as possible, drawing as little blood as possible from the people leading them. So Laura has just done a fantastic job, and this has been a really successful program. And since 2018, Laura has trained over 100 support group leaders, with more coming, all the time via Spin Sled. She's also providing and has developed really just fantastic monthly post-Spin Sled teleconferences, and so that provides an avenue for people who are leading the groups who've gone through the program to continue to come together, to support each other, to benefit from Laura's thinking and advice. And so just really, and more than anything, Laura is a great friend to myself and to the Spin program. So with that, I'll stop. I'll turn it over to Laura, and hope everyone has a really great evening. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Brett. Thank you so much. And thank you for your team and all Spin does for the scleroderma community. Angelica, can I get my PowerPoint up? There we go. So thank you guys for joining us for the first webinar, as Brett said. Tonight we're going to talk about healthy information management, and what a timely topic that is with everything that we've been going through since March. We know how important it is to manage all of this information that's coming in at us. And sometimes at lightning speeds, it can change in the course of a day. So that's what we're going to be chatting about. And we're going to set some tips. How do you manage information that's coming in? And for all of you on this webinar, you're going to do it a little bit differently. So I'm just going to give you some tips and some tools to put into your tool belt that we all carry around. And you're going to use it to the best of your ability to create a very well-rounded system that's going to work for you. So we know right now that people are telling us, boy, I'm really fatigued. All this watching TV, watching whatever news channel that you choose is really overwhelming me. Anxiety can be up, anger can be up. You can start to feel a lot of emotions. So the first tip is to set those realistic time limits for watching and listening to COVID-19 updates. Now, for all of you, your limit is going to be different. You may start out with a 10-minute a day, and then you may increase it or decrease it based on the day or based how you're feeling. If you're a person living with scleroderma and your pain is at a 7 or an 8 one day, you may need to decrease how much you're intaking of the media and information that's coming in. If you're having a day where your pain or your fatigue is at a 2 or 3, maybe you want to see a little bit more. We know that we have to use reliable, incredible resources to get that information. Now, how do we know what's reliable and credible? Well, first of all, we know that the WHO, government websites, trusted news sites, those are the common ones. We know that when we're online searching for things, we know that org, gov, and edu websites are governmental, they're academic organizations, and they tend to be more critical. We want to check to see on a website who funds it. Is it a company? Is the website being sponsored by somebody that's looking to sell us something? If they're asking you for information, you want to check in their About Us section. Are they looking to get a product sold? Maybe it's a drug, maybe it's a product. So you want to be careful that you know that you're looking at credible sources. You can ask yourself some questions. How? What's the original information source? Was it published as a research journal article? Check to see if you can cross-reference it. Those credible websites are going to have references. You can highlight it, stick it in your browser, and get more information about it. The why. What's the purpose of that website? Is it a project? Is it an association? And again, if you look at the About Us section in that website, you can learn a lot more about why that website was created. You can gather more information. And remember, things like forums, blogs, social media, they're really interesting and they serve a purpose, but they're not evidence-based. So we have to be careful as people living with scleroderma that we don't always look at that as, wow, somebody posted about this great new concoction, and I think I should try it. Well, before we consider that to be credible, we want to take that information back to our medical teams and have a conversation. Reference back where you got the source and let your team know, does this work for me? Because we know that what might work for Ken may not work for Lee, and it may not work for Jody. So make sure that you're checking all of those credible sources. And then once you start to have conversations, and we know amid COVID right now, for many of us, that means that we're in lockdown of some sort. Now, as we have our international friends on this call, lockdown means different. In Australia, you may have a little more freedom than we do in the United States. But as those of us in the United States, we know that we're a little bit more restricted, and we've been turned into a virtual conversation. So you want to balance those conversations so everything isn't about COVID. It's not about things that cause anxiety and fear for you. There's a lot of fun things you can talk about. Maybe a book you're reading, maybe what you cooked or what you might cook. Maybe you're working on a craft project. If all else fails, what about Netflix? What are you binging? Or ask somebody what they're binging. What's fun to watch? What music are they listening to? Those are all important conversations to keep us mindful and positive about what we're talking about. And then we know the importance, research shows us the importance of creating a routine. Now, my routine's going to be different than Edie's routine. And that's going to be different than Rowena's routine. So create a routine that's meaningful and positive for you. Get up, make that bed, because we know that when we make the bed, the chances are we're not going to cuddle back up into it. But when we keep it unmade, hey, that really is inviting to go back, especially if you live somewhere like I do in Michigan, where those temps can get really cold in the winter months. It's easy to get back into bed and not be as productive. So maybe make a list. If you're a list keeper, make a list. Decide, what am I going to do today? And even if it's just accomplishing one or two things, small tasks, creating that positive choices. I'm going to read 2 pages. I'm going to journal. I'm going to craft. I'm going to cook. I'm going to take one drawer and clean it today. Tackle a project that you've been meaning to do and maybe you haven't thought about starting. Just creating a framework of what a schedule could look like. We know right now that for people in the scleroderma community, there are so many questions about COVID, vaccines, what works for me, what works for you. So if you're seeking answers about COVID vaccine and how it relates, the best place to get good, credible information is the Scleroderma.org website. It's a credible source. It's developed by a medical advisory board, and it's got the answers that are going to be helpful. It's also updated on a regular basis. So if something's changing about the opinion about the vaccines, you can continually go back there. Maybe go to the website tomorrow, bookmark it. Just start at the top to keep it on your laptop, your phone, your tablet, and then go back often to see, has anything changed? And if you're not able to, you don't currently get their weekly e-letter, now's a good time to sign up because the Scleroderma organization sends out every Friday a wonderful e-letter that gives out accurate educational information as it relates to scleroderma. And that can be a positive thing to do every Friday, to get that and spend some time reading it or reading it over the weekend. So we talked about credible sources, looking for that credible author. Current information, and when we define current, we mean under 3 years old. So if you're looking at a website, check to see how old is that information. Bookmark it and take it to your own medical team and have a conversation. Hey, look, I found this. Is this apply to me? Is this beneficial to where I'm at in my journey? Look and see, is it an established source? Is it researcher? Or are they trying to sell us? Is it objective data? And is it quality writing? So looking at the author's credentials, looking where are they affiliated, evaluating the sources, checking any endorsements and reviews, checking to see if the publisher is reputable, and then going back to your medical team. That's always, as a person living with scleroderma, you want those open-ended conversations. You want to take things back to your medical team and talk to them. And if you don't live in the United States and it's harder to make that connection with your medical team, write down your questions so that the next time you do see somebody in the medical field, you can ask those questions. And how does that relate to your medical treatment? So we know right now that a lot of people, when they are home, they feel that sense of isolation. Maybe you can't see your family. You know, we went through some holiday seasons, November and December, no matter what holiday you might celebrate, if you celebrate holidays. And people said, wow, we really felt isolated. We didn't get to do some of the things we normally do. So how do you keep yourself from being bored? I grew up in a household where my mom and dad always said we weren't allowed to do that, use that word bored, because if we did, they would send us outside to pull weeds among those cute little white rocks. And believe me, those weeds can grow in between those white rocks like you've never seen. So I learned at an early age to never say that word bored, because my mom and dad would say, you find something to do. No matter what, you find something. So here's some just fun lists. And we know that right now there's a lot of people watching TV, whether you're watching Amazon or you're watching Apple or you're streaming or you're watching Netflix, but maybe try a different series. Maybe you've never watched science fiction. Maybe you've never watched mystery. Maybe you've never watched a drama. So maybe start to watch something different or go back to the classics. Last Sunday, I had nothing to watch. I watched an Elvis Presley movie and it was wonderful. Filled my time, brought me joy, made me laugh. Find your joy. Find your joy, because even amid all of this isolation, we can still find joy and pleasure in everything we do. Read a great essay. If you have a phone, search. Search happy birthday in your name on YouTube. You can watch a bunch of strangers sing it to you. Make a playlist of your favorite songs from high school. Make a playlist of cartoons. Make a playlist of the theme songs from your favorite TV shows. Do something different. Start a book you've been needing to read. If you've never played a video game, play a video game. Read some humorous writing. Laughter is the best medicine. Put together a puzzle. Make rituals fun. If you're cooking, make that meal special. Make the presentation special. Do everything you can. Turn down your bed. Put a little special chocolate on the bed. So when you go to bed, you have a little piece of chocolate or a peanut or a cracker, a cookie, whatever you have. Give yourself a mani or a pedi, a facial, do a guided meditation, go for a walk if you can. Listen to a podcast. There are thousands of wonderful podcasts out there. And if you have a fur friend at home, that's hours and hours of fun that you can spend with your pets. If you enjoy beverages of any type, alcoholic or non, get fancy, get creative. Google. Find out, how can you mix something up that you didn't normally do? Try some new spices in your cooking. Bake. We know that our senses are so important to us. And when we bake, that sense of smell comes out. Do something that you normally wouldn't do. Maybe plant something. And if you don't have the ingredients at home, try soaking some dry beans and put them in some dirt and plant and watch them grow. That's just being mindful. If you deep clean something, for some people that sense of organizing is good. If you have that one closet, and if you can't do everything in one day, 10 minutes. Again, putting that into your routine. I'm going to spend 10 minutes organizing this. And you don't have to get it all done in one day. Maybe decide to wash one window a day. Organize those papers that you haven't organized. Sit down and just sort them out. Sort out and create for yourself your medical billing system. Create your own personal system. Clean out your computer's hard drive. Get rid of all those old emails. Organize your pantry. Figure out a new way to do something fun. Those things are all ways to freshen yourself up. And if all else fails, by all means, we want to see you on all of these sessions. And we're going to talk more at the end of this, but we have coming up in February worry management, relaxation techniques, home exercises, lots of different fun things that you can take with wonderful presenters that can give you even more tips on fun and engaging things to do. So just quickly, if you want to type in, what fun ideas do you have for keeping staying engaged and remaining positive? Has anybody done anything fun you'd like to share with us? Just type it in to that chat box and we'll share a couple. Anybody, what are you doing out there to stay, positive, to stay mindful, to keep from overloading on all of this media? Anybody? Start and join a support group. Richard, outstanding. Heck yeah. And the nice thing about support groups right now, they're virtual. Get rid of the things I don't need. Lynette, phenomenal. What a great way. And to benefit, made a quilt. Edie, beautiful. Explore outdoor parks. Yeah, sometimes you can't do that depending on your weather, but you can bundle up if you can and even get out for that 5 minutes. An online business, Stephanie, fantastic. Congratulations. Funny, go to the doctor. That is, Jane. Sometimes it is. That's your outing. Celebrate all those silly holidays. National Ice Cream Day. Yay, I like that. Go to IGA, take a walk instead of going right there. Wow, you guys got great suggestions. Love it. Love it. Those simple things. And I love that idea about taking the walk somewhere that you would have driven before. Being mindful, getting that fresh air. Fantastic. Thank you guys for sharing. And if you find yourself struggling to maintain the balance between getting that healthy, credible information and maintaining a normal style, remember you've got more webinars you can attend. If you've done our spin chat, we're going to give you those tips and tools, but you can also seek the assistance from a counselor, a therapist, a life coach. And right now, all of those people are conducting virtual. So all of those people will help you virtually, because we know that if we're not thinking positively, our minds and our behaviors are not going to be positive. So we have to wake up every day and mindfully remind ourselves, keeping a gratitude journal, putting on a piece of paper and sticking it on the refrigerator, on your mirror. Come up with 1, 2, 3 words that are positive for each week, each day. Courage, strength, gratitude. Set a goal for yourself every week about how you're going to positively talk to yourself, because we know that if we're negatively talking, we're going to feel negative. So as we move on to talk about, because equally important to managing all that information is how amid COVID do we continue to keep healthy social connections? Well, we stay connected. In times during COVID where we have to distance, we have to stay connected. And last March, for many people, we didn't know what video conferencing was. We didn't know what FaceTime was, Google Hangouts, GoToMeeting, and things like that, but we do now. So no matter what platform you like, Zoom, WebEx, Hangout, GoTo, Facebook, find a platform you're comfortable with. We know that a lot of them, you have to use certain browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. If you're scared of the technology, find somebody within your network that can help. We know that when we use our webcams, like in our support groups, that helps to build that trust and better engagement. And gosh, we're sorry we can't do it tonight because I'd love to see all your beautiful faces. But when we have a lot of people on a call, it does take that bandwidth away from us. We know that we can maintain our social connections by doing things like having virtual happy hours. Remembering, you can do this on a weekend morning. And it doesn't have to be an alcohol based. It can be a tea party. It can be a coffee chat. It can be flavored water. Whatever you want to create that atmosphere of fun. Have a cooking class. Scleroderma friendly meals, gluten-free, vegan, soup. And maybe each one of your friends picks 1 week to be in charge of what they're going to cook, and everybody else comes with their favorite ideas. Daily exercise with friends and family. Set a time, arrange a virtual meeting, get together. 20 minutes and do simple exercises. A book club. Faith-based. If you're faith-based, you can do, something religious. Sending a joke. Laughter is the best medicine. We know how important that is. Organizing window designs. We saw that among the beginning of COVID, how important that was for people. Maybe in your neighborhood, deciding on what theme it is. Maybe base it on some of those fun monthly, daily type holidays that we have. And then have people organize. And then you can walk around and have a contest. Just engaging people differently. Creating a craft hour with your neighbors and your friends. Coming up with a simple project just to connect you virtually. Create fun games using household items. You can have a scavenger hunt, picking 3 or 4 or 5 items and let people go hunting for it. You can do, what's the one thing in your pantry you can't live without? Let everybody go around and talk about that. What's, give everybody one spice. Tell them to come up with what's a recipe they would use that spice in. Fun things, engaging things. In the beginning of COVID, my husband and I live in a condominium complex and we were on lockdown in Michigan. We couldn't do anything. I love playing basketball. So I one day went outside and I took a trash can and a pair of socks and I started throwing them. People were walking by. Day after day I did that. I ended up ordering a basketball net, but it didn't come fast enough. The neighbors started to get involved, and the people that were walking day after day started bringing their own socks, and they were throwing them from across the street to see if they could make a basket. It became a fun sub thing to do in our complex. Something that I never dreamed would have turned into a way to engage people, but it was just something simple. Music. Music is an incredible tool. Have a daily dance party, just to remind you that even in the middle of a rainstorm, you can't take away that joy and that music can bring you. And use different types of music. Learn different types of music and the beauty of them. So what other tips do you have that have been working for you? Can you type them into that chat box? What types have you had to keep social connections going for you so that you don't have those feelings of isolation? What kinds of things are working for you that maybe we didn't mention, we didn't talk about? Something that you're doing that's helping you, maybe video chatting with your family, friends. I heard one person that talked about how she had done with her family. They were playing games online, and they did that every weekend, and they had a family meal together. Anybody doing anything to maintain social connections, to stay not isolated? Dinner with your mom one time a week. Marie, very good. Excellent, thank you. Anybody else? Anything else you're doing? Anything else you're doing to stay connected? Okay, well, I hope whatever you're doing, it's working for you and that you're managing that technology and keeping those healthy connections. You know, we started to hear about internet fatigue, Zoom fatigue, about 4 months ago. It became kind of like the buzzwords. People started to say, boy, oh, Jane, thank you. Oh, a COVID basement in our house. Jane's family created a COVID basement in their home so they could visit. We go out on the deck and we talk to them. See, making those types of adjustments so that you can still continue to live and enjoy people, but just making adaptations. Excellent share. That's a good use of, making an adaptation. Ken, playing music, yoga, walking, messaging, video chatting. Fantastic. So when we talk about Zoom fatigue, some people are saying, I'm tired, I'm on Zoom, I'm on the internet all the time, and I'm feeling myself pulling away from social connections because of it. I don't want to be on the internet all the time. So there's some things that you can do so that you can still maintain those healthy social connections with people. Try turning off some of your apps. If you find that you are somebody that's constantly picking this phone up and you're constantly looking at it, look at what apps are you using the most. Most phones have diagnostic tools that can tell us which apps you're using, and decide maybe to take a break. Give yourself a goal. For 3 hours, I'm not going to look at the apps. For half a day, set whatever goal, start out small and work your way up. We call it digital cleansing when we really walk away from that technology. We give ourselves a break. And when we do that, then you spend time doing something else, maybe doing puzzling, maybe reading, maybe doing some meditation or cooking, whatever other fun things you want to do. We know the importance of turning off the phone, the technology, an hour before you go to bed, so you can wind down, you can relax. But considering stepping away from your device, maybe for an hour a day, maybe an hour and a half, setting those goals for yourself and making the decision to give yourself a healthy break while still maintaining social connections. So any questions, sharing a thought, last minute comments about what's working for you, or questions about a specific situation that you have right now that I might be able to help. Anything? Maintaining those healthy commitments to get that mind, that body, that spirit connected during these challenging times, kind of taking a step away. Anybody have a question about anything that we chatted about tonight? Remembering the importance of routines. Setting a routine for yourself. Everybody's routine is going to look a little bit different. Everybody's routine has to be set so it's going to be successful for you. And starting out slow. Maybe just setting a routine that, hey, I'm going to get up at a certain time of the day. I'm going to make my bed and I'm going to take a shower. Maybe that's week number 1. Week number 2, introducing something else into your routine so that you're not changing everything in your schedule, but changing 1 or 2 things at a time so you're more successful. Please. You know, Marie, that is a good question. It is challenging to remain interesting in things when you're tired. How do we, when pain is an issue and fatigue is an issue, how do you still stay engaged? How do you stay engaged when you just don't feel good? Anybody have a tip? How do you stay engaged? Well, maybe you don't feel good. Or maybe there's external things going on in your life that are challenging you. How do you stay positive? Because for a lot of people, life can be challenging. Anybody have a tip? What do you do when pain and fatigue are an issue and you really don't want to be Zooming with your family, or you don't want to be texting, or you don't want to be talking? You just want to take a break. How do you handle that? Anybody? What tip do you have that's working for you? I love it. Edie says, I give myself permission. Barbara, life's challenging. Take a break alone. I watch baby videos or dog videos. Rowena, love it. You guys have great suggestions. You know, giving yourself permission, saying to myself, I care enough about myself. That self-care technique. Listening to a movie, watching something uplifting, Jody said. Going back to giving yourself permission to not being perfect, puzzling, doing something you want to do, and knowing that you can only do what you can do every day, and that's okay. That's okay. Meeting your expectations, having self-care techniques, and knowing that you need to incorporate those every day. Figuring out what self-care techniques work for you. And some days knowing that you're going to rest and relax and take care of your pain and your fatigue. And that's what you need to do. Oh my gosh, Jeannie joined a song group. That's so fun. What a great suggestion. Love it. Fantastic. Uplifting, encouraging. But again, Jeannie wakes up one day and says, hey, I'm really tired. It's okay to give yourself permission to take that day off. In fact, that's a gift. It's a gift to say to yourself, today's not the day I can do this. Because if you say today's not the day I can do it, then the day after, maybe you'll feel better. Maybe the pain will be less. Or maybe next week it'll be a better day. And you can do that self-care technique. You can do that fun thing you want to do. But if we keep going and we keep pushing and we keep pushing, you guys know what happens. Your bodies say stop. And you stop. So knowing what you can and what you can't do, giving yourself permission to have those days where it's all about you. And if family and friends ask you, hey, what's going on? You know, I thought we were going to do this, or how come you're not texting? Giving yourself permission to say, honestly, today's not a good day. And knowing that that's okay. Outstanding. Richard, I believe you have some comments and some other information that you're going to share with all these wonderful people.
Hi, everyone. So, thank you once again, Laura, for kicking off this webinar series and being an absolutely wonderful presenter. And thank you all for taking the time and being with us and for asking great questions and having just great responses to the questions. Our next webinar is next Wednesday and will be on worry management. And we hope to see you all there, and please feel free to invite your friends. I know it's a bit unusual for a spin event to have your mics and cameras off, so I would like to invite you all now, if you'd like to say goodbye, to please turn your cameras on and turn your mics on and say goodbye. And we have a few minutes to do so. So, thank you.
Oh my gosh, look at all those beautiful smiles. You know, thank you guys for giving yourself the gift of being here and showing up and learning and taking care of yourself. That is the gift you guys gave yourself. You gave yourself 1 hour today to take care of yourself. Jody, can you mute yourself? I think you did a little bit of thanks, Jody. You know, showing up and learning is the biggest step that you can take in healthy management, in self-care techniques, and in taking care of yourself. So you guys all deserve a big hand of applause for taking the first step in this. And every webinar and every presenter is going to give you one more tool, one more tip that is going to continue to help you in your journey. So come back to all the webinars. They're all going to be different. And take all those tips and tools. And even if you can't use them all today, maybe you're going to use them tomorrow or in 6 months or in a year. So I encourage you, come back, share the information with your friends. Let them know, you know, what we're doing here. I know it's a time commitment, but it's a gift to yourself because you're getting that education and you're helping yourself learn. So thank you guys for being here with us. If you have any other questions for me, you think of later on, please email the team and I'll be happy to answer them for you. And I just appreciate all your time, and I appreciate the fact you guys all chose to be with us tonight as opposed to doing something else. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day for the people who are in Australia. Rowena, it's, I think, actually in the middle of the night for you. And for the rest of you guys, you know, enjoy the rest of your evening. So Richard, I think we are done. Are we not?
That is everything. So thank you all again so much for being here.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye.